This week we look at a bunch of the best board games that you can play on your mobile, from Carcassonne to Ticket to Ride to the classic Scotland Yard. The 2-hour team checks out Angels Fall first, which is less about heavenly bodies and more about team-oriented tactical gameplay. And we answer the big question, what actually is a Battle Royale? This is Player Attack. Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this week Epic Games kind of surprised people by releasing an invite-only version of Fortnite for iOS. In response, people surprised absolutely nobody by skyrocketing it to the top of the Apple charts. Within the first 12 hours of launch, Fortnite was not only the #1 iPhone game, but the #1 iPhone app in 13 countries. To play the game, you'll need more than 2 gig of disk space and download quota, a device that is running iOS 11 and, as we mentioned, an invitation. To get one of those, you need to head to the Fortnite website, submit your email address and cross your fingers. Otherwise, find a friend who's already gotten in and ask them very nicely to invite you. Epic will be regularly adding players over the next few months, so if you don't get an email straight away, you might need to be a little patient. And speaking of surprises, Square Enix has revealed something we all kinda knew but were pretending not to. Lara Croft is coming back. The new game is called Shadow of the Tomb Raider and it looks a bit like this. Yes, it was announced at about the same time as the movie arrived in cinemas. We are sure that's a coincidence. The game itself will be available from September 14 for PC, Xbox One and PS4 because console exclusivity is so last season. And while we're on the topic of films and video games, Jurassic World Evolution is tied in with the upcoming Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and Jeff Goldblum will be appearing in both.
I'm here to tell you that I'm working on the new Jurassic World Evolution. It's a game made by that team at Frontier. So I'm going to be with you the whole game as Dr. Ian Malcolm. That's the character that I play in those Jurassic Park movies. I highly recommend it. It gets 10 Goldblums out of a possible 10 Goldblums. That's my highest rating.
In completely different news, Australians aren't the only people who won't be able to play Amiga Labyrinth Z. It seems the UK's Video Standards Council has taken offence at the salacious nature of the game. Tying in with the Australian Classification Board's findings earlier this year, the UK Council believes the Japanese RPG clearly promotes the sexualisation of children and poses a serious danger to younger audiences. It's been confirmed that yes, Far Cry 5 will have microtransactions in single-player, co-op and head-to-head multiplayer, but Ubisoft promises they won't affect the way the game is played. Instead, executive producer Dan Hay explains you can spend real-world money to save time, similar to the model used in Assassin's Creed Origins. In a series first twist though, you can also fork out cash to customise your character, but anything purchased with real money will only have cosmetic value, rather than any game-changing abilities. 1993 saw the release of the best-selling PC game of the 20th century. 2018 marks the 25th anniversary of surrealist graphic adventure game Myst, and to celebrate, the team at Cyan have talked to all the right people and departments and thrown a chunk of money at the right places, finally securing the rights to re-release all of the existing Myst games in an updated Windows 10 friendly format. We're hoping that includes both Myst 3, which was created by Presto Studios, and the Ubisoft-developed Myst 4, but details are still a bit sketchy. Something big is on the horizon, however. The team is also working to create a limited physical collector's edition for the anniversary, bundled up with a cool artifact. Stay tuned.
Challenged a Witcher. Must have had a death wish.
Yes, that is Geralt of Rivia. Yes, that is Soul Calibur 6. Not really sure what else needs to be said. Something else we don't think needs much elaboration, rumours have popped up that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is getting a sparkly new version, headed to Xbox One and PS4 as early as next month. Don't get too excited though, Activision has said nothing on the topic just yet, but let's face it, wouldn't be a major surprise. Arcane Studios has released a less than subtle hint that there will be something Prey related at this year's E3, with a bombshell set to drop on June 10, the date of Bethesda's pre-event showcase. And finally this week, Australia's strongest man has done it again. Eddie Williams has celebrated the upcoming launch of the completely remastered World of Tanks for PC in his own style, winning the World of Tanks PC tank pool at the Arnold Pro Strongman Australia contest last weekend. 11 of the world's strongest men attempted to pull an 8-ton FV-102 Striker tank over 10 metres under the watchful eyes of an adoring crowd, Guinness World Records authorities and proud tank owner Arnold Schwarzenegger. In what's believed to have been the world's first ever tank pull event, Williams moved the massive vehicle more than 10 metres in just 36.65 seconds. The second strongest bloke in the competition, America's Trey Mitchell, took more than 46 seconds to achieve the incredible feat. For more information on any of these stories, or to keep up to date with the latest gaming news, head to playerattack.com. But for now, stick around, we've got plenty more still to come.
Hello and welcome to 2 Hours Steam, a show where we get a game off Steam, play it for 2 hours and then decide if we're going to refund it or keep it. I am Nate, playing as your mate Nate.
Hey, I'm Xavier and today I'll be playing as Cyclonic.
Hey, I'm Harmony, I'm playing as Keep Calm, Kill More Zombies.
Hi, I'm Dean, and I'll be playing as Tainted Pain today.
And today we are having a look at Angels Fall First. Angels Fall First is a first-person sci-fi shooter that can only be described as the love child between Battlefield and the classic Star Wars Battlefront, involving both space combat and ground combat with interlacing levels in between where you'll board other people's ships. What I'm sure will be a warm welcome back to the world of first-person shooters is the addition of bots, meaning that each server will have up to at least 64 active soldiers on the field, making 32 a side, filling in the blanks for absent players, meaning no matter how many friends you have or don't have on your game, you'll be able to still have a fully flushed out battle either on space or on the ground.
People who are familiar with old classics like the Battlefront and Battlefront 2 games will find themselves right at home. Like in the Star Wars Battlefront games, you get the options to command your bots and you can order them to move to positions, to follow you, or for them to operate with their own free will. In terms of effectiveness, they tend to vary. Sometimes they will be honestly useless, and then all of a sudden you will get shot out of nowhere as bots from either side pour down and start to overwhelm your position. So the AI is clunky, however it's got its redeeming points to it. Angels Fall First has a wide variety of customization options, both for the character as well as for your loadouts.
Which has several loadout options, plus default options. You can customize the various vehicles you'll be using, all of which you can modify the weapons, and by then customizing that weapon with small stat boosts like, reload speed, overheat, ammo mods. You can get incendiary rounds or explosive rounds or acid rounds. You can then get gear and other bonuses. So for a marine you can choose grenades, you can choose shield drop pods, portable turrets.
Every loadout for weapons and soldiers is controlled by a budget system, which allows for balancing. So you can go around carrying a railgun if you wanted to, but you wouldn't have any budget left over to, carry, say, a med pack, a deployable turret, and a revolver. You would be just stuck with the railgun, and that's your primary. This allows for versatile play, able to try and mix and match different things, while keeping the game balanced at a certain level.
Well, I found the controls straightforward and easy to learn. However, I tried playing with a controller and unfortunately the game only has partial control support. So although you could easily shoot, right trigger to shoot, left trigger to aim, pretty standard, you still had to reach over to the keyboard to say switch weapons or something like that.
In Angels Fall First, you have the ability to create your own custom servers. A number of options are provided to you, including how many players can inhabit the server itself, whether or not they are bots or player-controlled characters. The kinds of maps you can choose are very similar in terms of its setup to the original Star Wars Battlefront 2 multiplayer map selection. The developers have included in the ability to invite via Steam. However, when I attempted this, people were not able to access the server that I had created.
Although I believe this would be probably a port forwarding issue. This is early access, it's understandable that maybe matchmaking isn't fluent, but it would be nice, especially since you have the option to invite via Steam. It sort of suggests, oh, don't worry, we'll do the port forwarding for you. You don't have to manually do it yourself, but it seems that is not the case. I found this game quite good. It was quite an exciting first-person shooter, especially with the inclusion of bots. It definitely filled out the battlefield. It definitely had a lot of romanticisms from the old classic Star Wars Battlefronts, and that's what I really like about it. And on that, I think I definitely will keep this game for myself and for with friends. Mostly because, yeah, I can play this by myself with either other people or just with bots and just have fun shooting things. Like, it's a great game all around.
It blows a lot of AAA games that are currently being released out of the water with the content that is provided. This game is something that I've been looking for a very long time. This is the kind of gameplay that we need to see more of from AAA developers. And I'm very curious to see how Angels Fall First continues to develop itself into the future, as this game at its launch didn't have anywhere near as much content as it has today. I will be keeping this game.
Angels Fall First was a great experience, and because I don't really play many multiplayer games or shooters or anything like that, I won't keep it for myself, but for playing with friends, yeah, I'll keep it.
It's a great game. I like the idea of it. I like the effort they're putting into it. It's a game I would play, but my plate's full at the moment. So for now, it's no.
So that's 3 people keeping it and 1 person returning it, and that's $18 on Steam if you want to check out the early access of Angels Fall First. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you next time.
While I'm sure some purists will argue that the process involved with setting up a board game is all part of the experience, sometimes clearing off the kitchen table and the calendar, finding all the pieces and the appropriate dice, and making sure you actually have time to play can be more drama than it's worth. So what if you cut out all of that stuff? Those same purists will accuse you of sacrilege, but we've found a bunch of great board games you can play on your smartphone, no board required. Carcassonne is one of the oldest games on this list, having been playable on iDevices since 2010. It is a faithful recreation of the German tabletop creation, which is played by placing tiles and game pieces on a board representing towns, roads, and fields. The obvious benefit of this smartphone adaptation is the inclusion of online multiplayer. Whether you want to play a game with your best friend or face off against a complete stranger, the choice is just a tap away. And please note, while there are Android versions of Carcassonne, none are quite as good as the original Apple-flavoured edition.
Hello. Welcome to the world of Carcassonne.
This one should be familiar to a few people, having been around in various formats since 1860. The brightly coloured modern version of the Game of Life, complete with its little plastic cars, launched in 1960, and that's the one that's been squeezed onto your mobile. Land your dream job, find love, and win or lose your fortune as you race to reach that last yellow tile. The mobile versions of the Game of Life feature local multiplayer, meaning up to 4 people can play on the same device. Alternatively, you can play by yourself or find a friend or 3 online, and there's even a new game mode that offers a quicker way of playing. Labelled Game of the Year way back in 1983, this cult classic saw families across the globe hunched over a map of London, trading tickets in the hunt for Mr. X. Scotland Yard has been transported now into the 21st century with razor-sharp HD graphics, but the gameplay is basically the same. 2 to 5 players who can be local, online or connected via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, playing as detectives searching for the remaining player, who is the mysterious Mr. X. All players navigate around a map of London using train, bus or taxi, using their powers of deduction to figure out where the bad guy is lurking. For those people new to the game, there is an interactive tutorial and comprehensive instructions on offer. For long-time fans, the new version is a straightforward translation and a bus trip down memory lane. More than just a great adaptation, Galaxy Trucker for iPad and its iPhone-friendly sibling Galaxy Trucker Pocket is a great app in itself. The original game came out of the Czech Republic in 2007, and it focuses on building cardboard ships to move plastic astronauts and various cargo around a map. On your smartphone, you get the same experience, in single player too if you want, with all the intergalactic explosions and assorted NPCs neatly animated. With a stack of achievements, no in-app purchases, and a handy tutorial for newcomers, Galaxy Trucker prides itself on being family-friendly, but that doesn't mean it's easy to win.
Explore the galaxy in an epic campaign, upgrade your ship, and meet interesting characters.
A more intimate offering than some of the others on this list, Patchwork is playable by just 2 people. You and a partner patch your way to victory, designing and stitching your own virtual quilt. The winner is the person who uses the most fabric and collects the most buttons, but it's not quite as simple as that. Keep an eye on how long it will take to stitch that patch and how much it will cost as you darn it all against an opponent who could be on the other side of the world. The initial price includes the entire game, but if you like a bit of bling with your blanket, in-app purchases offer cosmetic-only upgrades. There are many imitations, but the original is still the best. Scrabble lets you spell out words with friends and strangers, connecting to Facebook to share your best scores. Matches are played one turn at a time, and you can even play multiple games at once, so you don't get stuck waiting for that one person to carefully consider every possible combination. Mind you, there is also a speed play mode that will limit you both to 2 or 5-minute turns. If you want to get better at Scrabble, you can use the handy teacher feature to see what your best word could have been after each turn, or play against the computer to improve your skills. Proof that modern board games are more than just Monopoly, Ticket to Ride lets you live out your dream of designing and claiming railway routes. Expand your empire and earn rewards for owning the longest track. Collect cards representing cars, then play them to connect cities across the United States or further abroad in new expansion packs. A detailed tutorial will walk you through exactly how to play your cards. Put in some solo time against up to 4 AI players, or gather some friends around the same device for a little pass and play. If none of your friends want to play, hop online. Tens of thousands of players are online at all hours of the day, so you'll never wait long before being partnered up for a quick match. A new game starts every 4 seconds on average. Fans have played more than 50 million online games to date, and it's no surprise Ticket to Ride has been labelled the best iPad board game adaptation we've seen. Of course, there are so many more smartphone board games than just these ones. These might not even be the best of the bunch, but that's where you come in. If you're a fan of board games on your phone or on an actual board, let us know your favourites and we'll update this list in a later episode. Who knows, you might even be rewarded for your efforts.
ビデオ見てもらいます。ねんなよ。
バトルロワイヤルの正しい戦い方、監修 BR 法推進委員会。白岩学園3年 B 組の皆さん、こんにちは。
はい、こんにちは。
今日皆さんは幸運にも今年度バトルロワイヤルの対象クラスに選ばれました。おめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
ではこれからお姉さんがルールについて説明します。よく聞いて正しく元気に戦ってくださいね。今皆さんが来ている場所はこんな形をした無人島です。周囲は10キロぐらいで住民の人には出て行ってもらって誰もいません。
Survival games have always been popular, whether it's you against the elements or you against a horde of enemies, either human or computer generated. In recent years though, the basic survive, explore, scavenge idea has been dropped into an all new scenario, one which gets progressively smaller the longer you remain alive. This is the last man standing concept behind Battle Royale, a genre that seems to have infiltrated almost every single game released in the past 12 months following the release of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds in March 2017. But where did it all come from? The term Battle Royale has been around forever, and the concept probably even longer than that, but it snuck into the public consciousness around 1999 when Japanese author Koshin Takami published a novel about a collection of students forced to fight to the death under the watchful eye of an authoritarian government. Fast forward a few years and the book has become a cult favourite, spawning a manga series and a feature film, both of which prompted their own sequels as well. Stories of a television series have come and gone, and even though Takami has apparently retired from writing novels, plenty of other people are picking up their pens, most notably Suzanne Collins and her work at The Hunger Games, although she claims to have never heard of Battle Royale while writing. And then, a few years after that, we see video games using multiplayer last man standing rules and others featuring large open maps that you must explore and survive. The two apparently weren't combined until shortly after The Hunger Games hit cinemas in 2012, when someone created a Minecraft mod inspired by the movie. Players are dropped into the centre of a map and can choose to compete over a nearby stash of resources or to spread out and find other items, remembering that anyone killed is eliminated and the last survivor wins the match. Soon after that, more mods started popping up, with a notable example for DayZ, making the initial map size much smaller, so players were forced into more frequent hostile interactions, rather than being allowed to wander the open world alone. 2013 saw another giant leap. Brendan Green created a Battle Royale mod for Arma 2 and DayZ, directly inspired by the Japanese film based on Takami's novel. Rather than the Hunger Games style mod, which drops resources all together in one central location, Green, better known by his alias Player Unknown, chose instead to randomly scatter weapons and equipment around the map. When DayZ spun off into its own game, Green updated his mod to work with Arma 3 and continued development, all up until he was employed as a consultant on H1Z1 King of the Kill, bringing his experience with the Battle Royale genre to Daybreak Game Company. However, that job didn't last long, as Green signed up with developer Bluehole to create his own standalone game. Player Unknown's Battlegrounds hit early access in March 2017 and drew a serious amount of fanfare. It was hardly the first game to combine the last man standing and shrinking battlefield concept, but it was the first one to make it big. Really big. More than 1.3 million people logged in at the same time to play it one night in September 2017, breaking all sorts of records on Steam, and the game sold more than 20 million units in less than a year without even making it out of early access. But what about those other games? It's been a case of last man standing in the real world too. In 2017, Xaviant released a 16-player battle royale called The Culling, which was crafted specifically for streamers. Players were dropped either onto a small island or into a prison and tasked with survival. Unfortunately for Xaviant, shortly after the game hit shelves, the world fell in love with PUBG, which wiped out the Culling player base. H1Z1 was another victim. It may have trod new ground for the genre, but its success was quickly eclipsed by PUBG, with developer Daybreak choosing to make the game free to play in an effort to halt the plummeting player counts. As well as new standalone titles, plenty of big-name games also jumped on the bandwagon. Rockstar Games added Battle Royale to Grand Theft Auto Online in a 2017 update. Paladins got one in January 2018, inspired by early MMOs and their PvP battleground encounters. And then there's Fortnite. Fortnite was a co-op sandbox survival game created by Epic Games that seemed to have been left to languish in development hell for years after being announced in 2011. Finally seeing the early access light of day in 2017, the game was fairly popular, with more than 1 million players signing up quickly, but it was nothing really special. That is, until the team at Epic experimented with a new gameplay mode. You guessed it, Battle Royale. Within months, Epic's game was rivaling PUBG in terms of popularity, with more than 20 million players signing up by November 2017, and that number continuing to climb while Player Unknown seems to have paused for breath and to improve its anti-cheat technology. While it's not quite the overnight success story some people would have you believe, the rise of the Battle Royale genre has been almost supersonic. Will the next chapter be the inevitable plummet back to earth? Will we see an eventual winner between Fortnite and PUBG? Will a third game rise up to take over the last man standing mantle? Remember, just 12 months ago, we hardly knew what Battle Royale was. that's about it for this edition of Player Attack. Thanks for watching. Next week, we're going to the movies to find out if Lara Croft has the star power to avoid the video game tie-in curse, while looking back to remember some of the games that really didn't translate well to the big screen. In the meantime, you can catch us at playerattack.com. We're on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter, and if you've got something you want to say, send us an email, mailbox@playerattack.com, or just hop on our forums. Also, if you want to support Player Attack, you can find us on Patreon and help us bring you the latest in gaming news, plus all these wonderful interviews and reviews from the world of video games. Till next week, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is Player Attack.